Tonight, up in smoke, $1 million worth of drugs go up in flames in Wallaroo. And a marathon effort by all, the Pitchy Richie runners crossed the finish line after a long day pounding the pavement.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. $1 million worth of drugs has gone up in flames in Wallaroo, with the York Mid-North Police conducting a drug burn last week. More than 700 seized drugs were tossed into the pit, including cannabis, methamphetamine and other illicit substances, which had been collected over several months. Kadina CFS volunteers assisted with local police with the drug burn, which are held regularly throughout the year. Meantime, a taxi driver has allegedly been found in possession of illicit drugs and detected drug driving in Port Pirie on Thursday. Police drug tested the driver, who allegedly returned a positive result for methamphetamine. He was also found to be in possession of an ice pipe and a small amount of meth. The 40-year-old local man, who was working at the time, was issued with a 24-hour direction not to drive, and he may face court on drug driving charges pending forensic analysis of the drug test. The 40th instalment of this year's Pitchy Richie Marathon has smashed expectations, with hundreds of athletes from across Australia turning up to race. Taking place in the Flinders Ranges, runners made sure to take in the scenic views, as well as lots of water throughout.
Covering great distance at great speeds. Over 400 runners have flocked to the Flinders Ranges this weekend for a very special birthday celebration. This year, the Pitchy Richie Marathon was ran for the 40th time, still offering the scenic but challenging uphill race that always keeps athletes coming back. Amongst them this year, 4-time Olympian Steve Monaghetti, who says the Pitchy Richie Marathon is one of the most unique point-to-point marathons he has come across.
For me, coming through the halfway point through the Flinders Ranges was fantastic. And you're running to a destination which is quite unique. So it's quite challenging with the hills, but nice downhill finish, so I enjoyed it.
After a long slog through the Flinders Ranges, runners say there is no better feeling than being greeted at the finish line by the cheers of your fellow participants.
It's a good feeling when you finish.
We were going pretty fast and we did like the run.
My ankle's been sore, so my ankle was getting sore through the run, but we pushed through and we didn't walk, so that was good.
Whatever event it is, it can be the 1K kids run, which their enthusiasm's infectious, right through to people who are doing, their 24th, 25th marathon. So we all share that experience at the finish line, and it's a beautiful day and a beautiful place to finish.
The Flinders Ranges Council says local clubs such as the Port Augusta Lions and Headspace also deserve applause, dedicating their time to set up signage, transport and rest stops, ensuring the safety of runners.
We've usually just done the water stops, but in the last 3 years we've stepped up and we do the organisation with the starts, the full marathon, the half marathon, the 10.5 and the 5 kilometre. So we had about 16 members out here working today.
Organisers say the number of participants in this year's race has gone well and above what they were expecting, saying the special birthday milestone and international accreditation has seen more interstate runners come over for the event.
Such a great atmosphere, and we missed this over COVID with the interruptions, so to be able to come out, have a beautiful day, see so many smiling, happy faces, it's a terrific event to be a part of.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A conference promoting wellbeing and mental health was held in Port Lincoln over the weekend, with major support groups from across the state coming together to share their stories, discussing ways they can help those in need.
A friendly reminder that life can be as easy as blowing bubbles. This year's conference promoting mindfulness and wellbeing, hearing from guest speakers with lived experiences.
We had a conference last year and we brought together the wellbeing groups and suicide prevention networks from across Eyre Peninsula. We just really think it's important to come together, share challenges, wins and do some learning together.
The Primary Health Network for South Australia sponsoring the conference, contributing $10,000 for it to go ahead. Reducing stress and managing anxiety, all topics of conversation.
And it's just really good to have that support and not do it alone. We all have our challenges, sometimes they're the same, and we can talk about ways that we can overcome them.
Bubbles for Wellbeing, a key theme of the conference, proving you are never too old to have some fun. The practice is proven to have a calming impact on the nervous system.
Yeah, we've got little goodie bags with little bits and pieces inside, and the idea is just different ways of thinking about well-being. So we have some little bubbles and everyone had a go at blowing them, and the idea is about focusing on that out-breath.
The conference was one of 4 that took place, aiming to spread acts of kindness and strengthen community support networks.
We've had a range of speakers with a range of different backgrounds and stories, but it's really all about strengthening our groups, which strengthens our communities.
If you or someone you know is battling with mental health, you can contact Beyond Blue or reach out to your local support networks. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A major expansion for regional Airways is set to get underway, with Rex increasing its services to centres here in the Spencer Gulf and across the country. 11 regional cities in New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia will see up to a 67% increase in weekday return services. Broken Hill is on the list, seeing a 50% increase, and Adelaide to Port Lincoln will also receive a 14% increase on Fridays. Rex currently operates 7 return flights every weekday. Now an extra flight will be added on Fridays in Port Lincoln. The increased services will come into effect on July 4. Still to come tonight, South Australia's famous guitar festival branches out to the delight of regional musos. And AFLW Premiership player Eloise Jones talks all things footy in Broken Hill, along with some very important silverware. Welcome back. Broken Hill's Country Women's Association held a celebration of life ceremony on Saturday. It was to recognise past members for all they gave to the organisation, with posies laid in their honour. Afterwards, members went back to the Broken Hill South Library for lunch to discuss their predecessors' contributions and also to mark the centenary year of CWA New South Wales. It's not the first event the Broken Hill branch have put on to celebrate the milestone. Earlier this year, the library held a display, and there was also a replicated women's AFL game from 1941 held back in April, with local players taking part. Live music is back, and festival goers in regional communities across South Australia won't be left behind. The Adelaide Guitar Festival is the most significant of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, and now it's hitting the road.
The Adelaide Guitar Festival's On the Road program brings world-class musicians to people who can't easily travel to Adelaide. And Australian singer-songwriter Nigel Wern is extremely passionate about regional SA being included and has had his eye on this festival for a while now.
I'm involved as part of the regional run of shows, so I really like that idea of taking music to the regions and not just having it in major centres and cities, because certainly in South Australia there's a lot of far-flung towns that deserve music.
Nigel grew up in the regions and still lives in them to this day, which is part of the reason why he's so excited about this event.
Particularly the places we're going as part of this regional run, those places they're not on the touring routes for touring musicians. It's a long way to go, and it's not always viable for us to do that.
When performing at a well-organised regional event like this one, Nigel says it can be quite fascinating.
Always keen to chat and grateful. There's a different sort of gratitude with regional shows when they're done well, because people are just so happy to have people bringing what they're doing to their communities.
The Guitar Festival is running from July 9 to 24, and Nigel Wern will be performing at Crystal Brook, Wallaroo and Edithborough. For more information about the event, visit their Facebook page. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
AFL players in Broken Hill had the chance to learn from the best on Friday as Adelaide Crows player Eloise Jones put on a coaching clinic in the city. The AFLW star was excited to pass on her knowledge to the future generations of the game.
It was a night they won't forget, being put through their paces by a 2-time premiership winning player who is passionate about the game in the country.
I think to have female footy in country towns is really important, and as you've seen, it's just blossomed lately, and there's definitely a pathway for females now as well, which is super exciting within country towns.
It's not the first time Jones has been to the Silver City. Her grandparents still live here and still visits them whenever she can.
You know, I remember coming up here as a kid and always have great memories of kicking the footy in the region and hitting golf balls and stuff with my grandparents. So to come back up is really exciting. And obviously to have the opportunity to come out do some stuff with female footy is really exciting as well.
Jones is happy that there is a clear pathway for female players now, especially in places like Broken Hill. And she hopes it will keep women in the sport.
If we can hold on to as many of those girls as we can and give them an opportunity to continue playing sport and making new friends and creating relationships, it's really great for country footy as well as small country towns as well.
Unfortunately, Jones was unable to take part in the game over the weekend due to an injury she suffered in the grand final. But she did run water for West Broken Hill in their clash against Central. She hopes one day she can pull on a jumper.
Look, I'd love to be able to come back and pop a Guernsey on. I love the red and the black. It's a good colour wave, so I think it'd be really exciting. And, you know, in the future, if I do get there and I'm injury-free, I can't see why not.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. A 5-day mystery drive gets underway from Port Lincoln, raising money for charity. And what's in a name? The Spencer Golf Soccer Club honours a long-time devotee. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News. A mystery box rally is off and racing, with participants starting up their engines in Port Lincoln over the weekend. Hundreds of drivers embarking on the journey, travelling hundreds of kilometres each day, and it's all for a worthy cause.
These old rust buckets setting out for a journey of a lifetime. It's one of Australia's largest independently run fundraisers for the Cancer Council, with over 300 participants hitting the road. The rules are simple. The car must be older than 25 years and it must be roadworthy. Each team needed to raise a minimum of $4,000 to participate.
So we're in Port Lincoln and we are starting a mystery box rally. And it's been 2.5 years in the making for this one. With all the delays with COVID, it's taken us so long.
Initially established in 2009 by James Freeman, after both of his parents sadly died within 12 months of each other from cancer. Now, box rallies have raised over $31 million for the Cancer Council.
It's really wonderful to welcome all the people over to South Australia. We've got most of the people here are from interstate. And box rallies, we're headquartered in Adelaide, so it's a wonderful thing to be able to bring people into South Australia. And
teams are all dressed up, embracing some unique and quirky themes for the journey. Now on day 3, participants travelled from Unadutta to Copley via William Creek. Cars are off the bitumen and on the beaten track, with 4 vehicles pronounced dead this morning. And there is still plenty of more driving to go.
Mystery box rally is usually about 2,500 kilometres in 5 days. A lot of that is on unsealed outback tracks, so yeah, it's quite an adventure for everyone.
The goal this year is to raise over $1 million. Teams will then make their way back to the finish line here in Port Lincoln on Wednesday. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Whyala's Lions Soccer Club has renamed the club grounds after one of the most recognisable names in the league. The family is saying they are overwhelmed and proud to have the grounds named in their honour.
The Worsnop name, forever immortalised. One of Whyala Soccer's most well-known families have been honoured this weekend with a presentation at Lions Soccer Club. The grounds that were formerly known as Jenkins Park will now be renamed after the family that has done so much to maintain it over the years.
We changed it to the Worsnop Park. It's a huge honour for the family of the Worsnops. It's something that maybe should have been done a little while ago, but we're really trying to ramp her lines around and make it a much more family-orientated club.
Worsnops have been a big name for our club on and off the field for 3 generations, right from the start all the way to now, where Gordon's still a big part of our club and Snip's a major part of our on and off the field.
Players acknowledging that most soccer grounds pick and run with the same name for its entire lifetime, but say Anne and Gordon Worsnop deserve nothing better than the club's highest honour.
It's not like a corner or a bar or a club room or something, it's the whole grounds. It's the epitome of where we play.
Since 1973, Anne and Gordon have been on the club committee, where they organise social functions, manage the bar, and Gordon often volunteers to go on the gate on game days too. Signing their sons Mark and Andy up as juniors, They too have grown to become some of the most recognisable faces around the club. Many current players say this family spirit is now ingrained into the team.
Yeah, all of us have got kids, good working club, like we all get around each other and I guess that's transcended onto the field. A lot of our success lately. It's been a good club to be a part of. I'm really happy that I'm playing here again.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. The Premier hits the footy field, plus all the scores from the weekend's games. And we'll see how this week is shaping up weather-wise with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. Most competitions are at their midpoint of the season, and we're seeing some contenders emerge and the rest fall away. But how will the teams go on their march to grand final glory? Here's Joshua Mercer with this week's Footy Wrap.
Central Broken Hill are staking their claim for a grand final berth this year as they defeated the Robins at Jubilee Oval on Saturday. West were up to the task early, leading the Magpies and playing some really good football. However, Central showed how different of a side they are this season by taking back the lead. To their credit, West kept coming at the second place side, but it just wasn't meant to be. Going down by 26 points, 8-13-61 to 13-9-57. Caden Deckett had a day out with the boot for the Magpies, kicking 6 goals, with Hamish McLean the next best with 3. For the Robins, Lachlan Harvey kicked 3 and was a powerhouse up front. In the other game, North Broken Hill put South to the sword early, but couldn't get the job done, losing 8-9-57 to 12-9-81. The Roos Cody Shawn having a great season, kicking 4 goals. In the Whyalla Football League, North gave South a thumping, winning 17-11-113 to 5-1-31. North's Chad Clothier kicking 6 goals in the win. Central Whyalla kept their place at the top of the ladder, defeating Rapina 10-6-66 to 8-9-57. And on Sunday, West Whyalla down Waroona Bay 10-7-67 to 7-8-50. Moving over to Port Lincoln now, and Tasman Roosters had a massive win over Boston Tigers 22-14-146 to 3-6-24. Like the Tigers, Lincoln South were on the wrong end of a big scoreline, going down to ladder lead as Marble Range by 92 points, 16-20-116 to 4-3-27. And way back down Mallee Park, 10-9-105 to 12-6-78. Looking at the Spencer Golf League now, Central Augusta had a 22-point win over West Augusta, 55-33. Second place Solomon Town beat the first place Proprietary Risdon, 13-15-93 to 9-10-64. In the final game, Port beat South Augusta by 15, 96-81. And finally, South Australian Premier Peter Malinauskas took to the field for the final time in Adelaide Uni's big win over Christian Brothers College. He even managed to kick a goal in the 80-point win. That's it for this week's Footy Wrap. Tune in tomorrow as we take a look at the region's other sports results.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, a few extra blankets on beds in Kadina this morning.
I'm cold just thinking about it, Maddie. Good evening to you and our viewers. That's right, it got down to 1.8 degrees just before 7:30 this morning, but it felt closer to -2 degrees. Even at the official reading of 1.8, it hasn't been that cold in Kadina since October last year. Kadina eventually warming up to 14 degrees in the early afternoon, a degree cooler in the capital today, 13, and just 12 degrees, the top temp in Clare. Taking a look at the rest of the region now, partly cloudy skies in Port Lincoln, 14 degrees, 14 in Whyalla as well, clear conditions, and it was mostly sunny in Broken Hill, reaching 13 degrees at 1:45. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a high pressure system centred near the eastern border will drift eastwards to be centred over the eastern states late Monday evening. A cold front will move over the far west of South Australia tomorrow, then over remaining parts on Wednesday. Another strong high will develop south of the Bight later in the week. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. North to northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, tending north to northwesterly during the morning. Seas around 1 metre and south to southwesterly swell around 1 metre. Checking tomorrow's temperatures now, sunny in Port Lincoln set to reach a top of 18 degrees there, between 7 and 17 in Cleve, Woodner sunny and 19. Cold in Whyalla and Port Augusta tonight, warming up to 18 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny in Kadina, 15 degrees. Port Pirie heading for 17 on Tuesday, 14 in Clare and Broken Hill. That's after the Silver City gets down to just 1 degree above freezing overnight. Taking a look further through the week now, let's look at Wednesday's map. Bit of rain on the way for Woodner, Port Lincoln, Kadina and Adelaide. Temps in the mid-teens in most areas. Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta and Whyalla will have some cloud coverage and reach 18 degrees. Moving on to Thursday's forecast, showers are set to hang around for the lower parts of the map in Port Lincoln and Adelaide and creep up towards the Port Pirie region, 17 there, 17 in Port Augusta and Woodner as well. Finally, a quick look at Friday's forecast now, and Port Lincoln is the only centre at this stage likely to have some rain on Friday. Partly cloudy and 12 degrees in Broken Hill, 16 degrees in Port Augusta and Port Pirie. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. Maddie, it's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Monday. I'm Madeline Kerr. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.